Wit and Ray, the dog.
We're not live.
But you don't have to zoom to them.
You could acknowledge them.
No.
See,
We have Wit on.
All right.
I'll do it. We have Whitney Trudeau on. What are you on? Comments, live chat, and we have Ray, Shop Dog, laying on the ground.
so if you can't tell, this is a slightly different format. We're in a different spot than we've been previously, and we're sitting down, and we have papers.
I just have a
And
notebook.
Tyler has many of them bound.
This is
what's
my
called a notebook.
favorite notebook.
Kevin.
So we want to almost apologize for being late for our 3 o'clock start time, but at the same time, if you've been watching live, you know that we somehow never start on time. And
don't
it's
think we're
always
starting on
something
time.
different.
Are we live?
He said we're live. That's why he introduced
Yeah,
us.
but I got no countdown over there,
It's not on.
and Wit says it's not on.
Everything says we're
I
on.
can't work under these conditions.
It's yours. It's your thing. Everything says it's on.
Pushing down on me. That's really just a big scam from Wit to get you to sing live on the air. She's not saying no. Are we on?
We've been since we started.
Okay, we're on.
Cool. Okay, let's
All right.
do this again.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
No, we're already going. We can't do it again. It's live, dude.
Wow.
All right, so today we're actually we're going to kind of transition to a new format. We decided, based on the success printer bot video, there was no E, but I felt like there was an extra V that I added. There's an ice cream truck outside. We'll try not to be too distracted.
I think they're coming closer. I'll take a Choco Taco.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, you haven't had one?
No.
Wait, they're right outside.
They're
Please.
literally right there.
Can somebody go get ice cream?
Okay.
I will, but with an ice cream.
We do
They're
kinda
right
get
out there. Look, if
It's
we don't
really
get it
hot
this
here.
time, they're not going to come back.
So the irony is all of this transition is an attempt to be sort of authoritative, sort of leverage the knowledge that we have as it relates to topical subjects, news stories, if you will. And we're doing an absolutely atrocious job
Well, because the Mr.
of
Dingling is so
making-
distracted.
of making that.
Can you make a
Seem
point that that's a
plausible.
Vermont thing?
It's a Vermont
Ice
thing,
cream truck.
apparently. So aren't creamies.
This is,
Okay, moving on to
Alright.
the relevant topic of this video.
so what we're going to talk about today is the fact that China, the country,
the whole country.
had been importing the majority, not a large portion, 45% of the world's plastic that was destined to be recycled. 45% of that otherwise waste was going to China. China said, we're done doing that.
In 13. In 2013, they said they started that.
But we didn't know about it back then. Did we know about it?
It was known because they were
Okay.
asking for people to send them cleaner plastic, so they weren't dealing with that dirty plastic. So that was the idea. It was codenamed Green Fence. Sorry, I just killed your roll. But
That's fine. No, you read
Yeah.
some stuff that I didn't read. We were reading different things in prep.
Right. So yeah, Green Fence, and the idea was that that whole initiative was going to have less waste in the plastic, right? So if you have dirty plastic, it takes more energy, more time, more labor to get that good plastic recycled.
Right. Far less economical.
Right.
And of course, doesn't look like that happened.
No.
They didn't get the caliber of plastic that they wanted, which is why they've basically said, we are done. We are done importing plastic.
Well, they didn't just say it. They've like literally stopped accepting it,
Yeah.
which is it's good and bad, and I think that's the point
That's
of this
what
video.
we're going to talk about. It is good and bad. Are you okay?
I don't know, what was Kevin's face?
I don't know. He didn't tell us anything was wrong. We're good.
Okay. He turned and it was so. Anyway,
Let's talk about the impact. The impact of this, by the time 2030 rolls around, we're talking about another 111 million tons of plastic.
well, that's now, isn't it?
No, between now and 2030.
Oh, more, yes.
Yeah, there's 111 million tons that would have been sent to China that can't go to China. So the question is, what do we do?
You got this, right?
Where are you just, okay. So, he's propping the table because apparently we're gonna have dinner here later.
No, the table was rocking and it was annoying. It's fixed.
So the heart of what we're talking about today, obviously the problem is pretty easy to see. Obviously, we have to do something about it because 111 million tons of plastic can't just hang out.
Right.
Right, we can't just let it sit there. So what do we do? So what we're gonna talk about today is what we could do. What could we do
What are the
locally?
solutions?
What could we do in the US? What could we do globally to work this entire plastic, let's call it an ecosystem? This whole loop, that's the term I know you like to use.
I love the word loop.
Yeah.
Just loop it back.
Okay. So what could we do to strengthen the loop? I guess is a good way to look at it. And I'll hand the ball off to you.
Oh boy.
Where do we start?
I think we start at, I mean, we have to start right now. Like, what do we do with that 111 million tons of plastic?
Because
right?
we're not going to be able to just snap our fingers and suddenly make
No.
plastic simpler to recycle. That
Right.
doesn't happen overnight.
Right. And it's, we talked earlier about how it's getting more complex. There's more and more plastic grades. And that's one thing that we talk about is like, hey, work on new plastic grades with our systems, right? But I think the problem is, I mean, metric tons, I can't even fathom that. I can't even imagine how many rail cars, shipments, like,
Well, when we have those cardboard gaylords
Yeah.
of plastic come in,
those are
how
about
many
2,000 pounds.
Okay, so 1 ton.
Yes.
So 111 million of those. And in the entire warehouse here, we could fit what? A couple hundred?
Maybe, yeah.
So, 50 million
Oh, that's also that number.
warehouses.
The 9% that you had.
Only 9% of plastic ever manufactured has ever been recycled.
Now, that doesn't mean the rest of it's being thrown away. Some of it's in end-use products and is staying in end-use products. Your car, your cell phones,
That bottle,
this
stuff
bottle,
like that.
until we grind it up. Oh wait, we already ground these up. Yeah, so it's not all being thrown away, but there's a portion that's being discarded, right?
Huge
That's
portion.
the ocean, the environment, littering, and that's one of the reasons we started Filabot was to deal with that waste. And as we've gone through, and that's kind of been our basis of these videos is like, hey, this is what we're learning, and there is not. I don't think there's one solution for the waste.
It's too complex a
recycling.
problem.
Yeah,
I don't think we can just
It's huge.
say that there's one thing that
Right.
we can do.
Right. There's, from the recycling centers, so our waste management companies, all the way through to the end users. There's so many challenges and things that have to be addressed and solved. For example, soda bottles, right? PET, brand new virgin grade material goes into making that bottle. It's FDA approved. I mean, the machinery is approved to run that bottle and all the supply, like it's all set up to use that new virgin grade plastic. Once you start introducing all these different recycled materials from a recycled waste stream, it gets really complicated.
Right.
And I think that's the challenge, right? Is it Coca-Cola that has the 20% bottle?
I don't know.
Somebody has an eco bottle. I think mostly all of them do, but that's really the reason it's not 100% recycled is because it's so hard to take that recycled material, get it qualified to be another FDA, virgin
Right.
new material grade.
Right. It's the standardization or the standard for recycling plastic for something that's going to come in contact with food or anything that you're going to ingest is far higher than the plastic in your television set or
Right.
in a pair of shoes or something.
And it's almost safe to say that more the plastic, we say that it's that 111, well, it's more than that. The plastic that gets recycled, it's not recycled up, it's recycled most of the time down. So downcycling, it's going to Trex decking or plastic decking. It's going into products that, food safe and going down to something that doesn't have to be food safe.
Exactly.
And that's one of the problems.
Yeah. I remember back when I was younger, we used to have to sort recycling. And the moment that
Metal,
that
plastic.
switch flipped, that you could have single stream,
Yeah.
the recycling by volume went up dramatically because people didn't want to do the work.
Right.
And it's sad to say that, but they didn't. So we could say one of the things that would be easier, you mentioned China wanted higher quality
Right.
plastic so they could recycle it better. Obviously, having it sorted better makes it more
Would be
economical.
that first step.
But if we know that we're not getting as much recycling happening, if all of that stuff was going in the trash prior, that's not a better solution. Now, it's been years. Maybe the culture around recycling has changed enough that people would be willing to do that again. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Not all states in the United States have recycling programs. So that's another piece is like, not all of us are recycling on the, if we have it available or not. But then also like, if the whole country's not doing it, then, how much, and look at the volume of plastic we're talking about here. We're not talking about the stuff that we can process in our systems. I mean, those are systems that take up warehouses and warehouses, like buildings that you have to take a golf cart in and drive across.
Yeah.
They're so big.
Absolutely massive.
Crazy.
So even if we could wave a magic wand and say, hey, everybody, you have to recycle. Let's just say, we created a bunch of robot people that recycled everything that they could.
Right.
It's not just the willingness, it's the ability to on the other end. We've spent some time talking with local recyclers.
Yes.
Folks who make their business around waste.
Taking and sorting it.
And sorting that. And
right.
just, we've learned how complex that aspect of the equation is.
It's very complex. So we actually, Whit and I got a tour of it.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants to go, they actually have open, you schedule a tour. Very in-depth tour. They're not like, they're showing you what's happening. And when we had the tour, they were saying that right now the whole recycling industry is in this gauntlet. What companies that make it through will be the ones that survive, and the ones that don't are gonna, they're gonna have to close. And it's really because the market, there really is no market for this plastic. It's just nobody's taking it. And with China being the 45% importer of it, right? Where does it go?
One of the things that we didn't, at least I didn't find in the research I was doing, and we could probably speculate a number, how many different types of plastics that if we were to feed them through our machines,
Right.
They'd have to be sorted out. How many different types of plastic would you expect are going to be in the typical person's household waste stream?
I think the
more
number...
than 100, right?
No.
Not more than 100?
Well, it's the 1 through 7, right? So remember when we did the video of 1 through 7, like the recycling triangles?
I don't mean just the ones that are labeled for recyclable now.
Do you mean like the specific grades?
If we're talking about this from the perspective that China wanted higher grade plastic, we're talking about sending them, here's a bale, here's a cargo container of
Right.
this plastic.
Right.
You could take this, you could process this all together, like when we did CDs.
Yep.
We did the inserts, we did
CDs themselves.
the CDs, right? But we mixed the inserts and the cases, didn't we?
Yeah, the clear cases and
Right.
the black back.
I mean, they were slightly different color, they were slightly different
Right.
texture, but we were able to combine them together. So how many of those, like,
Right, how much
verticals.
cross-contamination are you getting? So it really comes down, when we talk about these big numbers, it really comes down to commodity grades. So that's when we talk about like PLA, and that's a problem in the 3D printing industry. PLA is not a commodity grade, and that's why we have gaylords of failed ground-up 3D prints here in the warehouse, because we have no place to, like, the only place it can go right now is the garbage, which is like what the heck? Nobody, it's not a commodity grade. The volume of it isn't enough to make it that commodity grade that these waste management companies can deal with. One of the reports I was reading, or news articles, only had a few. So the PE, polypropylene, and PET were the most common commodity grades that were in this recycling stream that China was taking in, because those are the highest produced. So yeah, we could get everybody on board with recycling, right? We'd have more waste plastic, and we wouldn't really have an outlet to use it, right? The other solution that's a big one is waste, right? So if the plastic stays in that loop, it's okay, it's good, right? It's in that loop. Sure. But the moment the truck lid isn't closed the right way, and the few bags that get lost to the wind, or into the river, wherever, it's littering. And we know we have so much plastic that's just breaking down in our oceans.
breaking down slowly?
Slowly.
If it was breaking down quickly, it'd be far less of a problem. We might have other problems,
yeah.
but we wouldn't have that problem. We wouldn't have Garbage Island. Now, I believe firmly that money incentivizes behavior.
Right.
So how could we make this more economical? How could we find a way that it's economically beneficial to, let's say, household users to sort? Or is it that the incentive comes from the firms sorting it out to create these
Right.
different, kind of vertical streams of plastic?
I don't know. You have a Filabot.
I mean, one of the things I'm imagining, and of course our equipment and just the whole industry is at least several years away from this, but what if 3D printing becomes simple enough that everyone can
Right,
do it?
from end-use plastic to another object right there.
And then, everyone has an extruder and, a setup
Sort
to
of printer,
to
yeah.
grind, right? So they've got that full ecosystem there, and they're able to take all of their waste and grind it up. Obviously, they're not going to be able to sort it at that point,
Right.
because we're talking about, so many different kinds of plastic. So what if there was this, what if it became 50-50 general recycle with, some kind of virgin
Base.
material, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing a fair amount of experimentation with
Different
recycled
mixtures
mixtures and plabs and all that.
and there's some chemical companies that are working on that. So Covestro and I believe Dow, really all the chemical companies, they want to be able to have a base plastic that you can mix in with multiple other grades and have it work well together, right? So as we've learned and as we're learning more, that you can't just take a plastic and mix it together. So polycarbonate ABS is one. It has to be alloyed together the right way, mixed the right way, and chemically reacted the right way. So there's some interesting work there. I don't think that even the chemical companies fully understand the plastic that we have, like the whole, it's not
So many
connected.
variables.
There's so many. It's insane. Yeah, there's a lot.
So what do we do? If you had a magic wand, if you were elected emperor of the universe,
Oh boy.
and you could say,
I'd make it not a
here's,
problem.
here's what we do. Okay. I said emperor of the universe, not emperor of the universe with a time machine.
Ah, okay.
And maybe your magic wand decrees aren't 100% effective, but what gets us the furthest? What could you
Yeah.
say at each step in the loop that would make the most impact?
One thing that's really exciting is Europe has a standard for products that the products have to be able to be broken down into their base materials. I'm not fully aware of what that standard is, something I've seen, in our line of work. But standards where, the materials can be separated easily, right? So that they can be sorted and the waste stream that, is closing the loop. It's thinking about the product from the beginning to the end. What happens in the end, all products have an end life. Our systems, we build them strong, but they're going to wear out. We have to replace parts to make sure they keep working. Your car breaks down, cell phone batteries die, and just being able to keep that loop in place, that's how you conserve the resources. That's how you keep reusing that energy, and, well, you don't waste the energy that was put into that product to begin with. And I think that understanding from the whole thing, from the start to the end, is something that, that's a big project.
One of the things we were talking about before we went on air was my idea question somewhere in between. What would happen if we had fewer grades of plastic?
Yeah, that was an interesting conversation.
Do we need this many? We've been on air before and we've shown lists. There's a list. I don't know if it's
Oh yeah,
that crazy list of all the different kinds of plastic and
the
grades.
Matt Webb and
It's
UL Prospector.
tens of thousands of kinds.
And it just keeps going and going
and
and going.
the number being developed just keeps adding to it.
Right.
So what would it look like? Let's say we could get down to 100. Let's assume, let's pretend that we could accomplish everything we need to do with 100 different kinds of plastic.
Right.
That would make recycling simpler, right? Because then you only need 100 bins.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But what would happen? I mean, that's the engineering plastics. That's where it gets interesting, right? Those number sevens, right? And those number 7s are high polymer or engineering grade plastics with high temps, plastics that have better wear resistance, different additives. And I think it gets really hard for us. I mean, yeah, if we couldn't wave a wand and say, okay, we can only have these plastics, I think that would limit us in our ability to create better plastics to solve our other problems, right? So that's another thing we've said, is that plastic is solving our problems. It's allowed us to get to where we are today as humans, as a civilization. It's allowed us to solve problems that we've created from other materials or other situations. So it's a blessing and a curse, and I don't know if having less would do anything, and I think it could hinder that exploration into better materials.
Is there some solution in super high temp burning it and capturing the gases? I mean, is
Oh boy. That might be another topic.
okay.
But yeah, there is I don't know if it's a true. So when you go and look on this on YouTube, you get into like the whole free energy sort of area of YouTube, you know, and then your mind just starts going.
There's no free energy.
Right. So that's where this exists right now, but it's plasma gasification.
Yeah, that was a term I was
Yeah.
looking for that wasn't in my head.
I'm really excited about this. I have no clue. I mean, I've watched the few videos. The idea is that you're able to you remove oxygen from the chamber, right? And you're able to ignite well, you're not really igniting it because there's no oxygen. You need that triangle. You're able to break down the molecules, right? Get them back to the base components. I don't know how believable that is because they do have a slag that comes out of it, which I don't know how that works, and I'm not a chemist by any means. But that gets really exciting because then we can just take all this plastic, all these materials, anything, and just throw it in there and get it back to base materials.
And
One of the biggest caveats with that is that it requires a ton of energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right, to like what extent do we, I do believe there'll be some point when there's so much waste plastic in the world, or not a place for that plastic to go. Like if countries stop, that's the other thing. We ship this plastic to China. We put it on a boat and we spend the energy to bring it over there.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Why don't we do it here? Anyway, back to the plasma stuff. At what point will there be too much waste plastic in the world? At what point will we at what point will the return make sense?
We're kind of reaching that point right now with this.
Right.
I mean, 45% is pretty large. That's a lot.
That's almost half.
True.
now
Very true.
I'm a news anchor, not a mathematician.
The one idea I want to throw into the mix is I have read some stuff about some discoveries around certain bacteria that have been found to break down certain kinds of plastic, and sounds like the beginning of a really bad sci-fi film gone wrong. But what if we were to engineer
Where all my
bacteria
coffee cups
that
go?
could break down plastic? You see these like clouds, kind of locusts come through, and all plastic is gone. But that's in. Well, I expect that is likely to be a solution, at least part of the solution, because from what I was reading, not that it's breaking it down completely, not that it's completely eliminating the problem, but it's assisting. It's a complex problem. It's going to be a complex solution. So is that solution bacteria plus storage for the future as we get better, plus gasification, plus extrusion, plus...
Right. It's going to be interesting.
It'll be interesting to see. And we're not going to be doing a follow-up in, 6 months or a year, or likely even 10 years to say, hey, we figured this all out.
No, this is going to, how long have we been?
This problem will go beyond our lifetimes.
Oh, yeah. It's only getting worse if we really look at it.
If we're honest about it. What was the organization that wrote up that original paper? Scientific...
National Geographic?
No, they wrote a
Is that
summary
the
of
one
it.
I linked?
Yeah. Do you remember the name of it? Okay.
That was a good article.
We'll drop that in the description here.
Sweet.
On the video, so you guys can read that. It's pretty dense, but there were quite a few other outlets that wrote summaries and it's fascinating stuff. If you're interested in plastic, if you're interested in the way this is all going, you should read about this. Have a box of tissues while you do, because it's depressing.
Yeah,
But it is what it is.
it is.
Okay.
That's why we do what we do.
Yeah, we've been exploring with ESR.
Right? They're biodegradable, compounded. I mean, there's solutions out there that haven't been discovered, you know, so it's, that's the other thing. I don't know if we could wave the wand and say, let's get rid of plastic and all, you know. I don't think that would work.
Probably. Have we had anything come in? Whit, any comments?
Lots of viewers. No.
Lots of viewers, cool. All right, well, hello viewers.
I did not pick my nose on live.
Good job.
I had an itch, like right on the outside.
Do you have anything else that you want to add before we fade off into the distance?
No.
Before we fade off into banter.
Dun, dun, dun.
This whole show is banter. That's all we do.
We
is
started
banter.
with banter and
It's
we
an
ended
attempt
with
to banter on topic.
Yeah, it's good. We bantered.
We bantered.
That's for sure. We didn't get any ice cream.
See if anybody likes it.
What was I supposed to pay with?
Oh, we should also say this isn't going to be the only format of live. We're going to continue doing different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna mix it up.
We always play with it live. I don't think we found our favorite. I did like this one, sitting down instead of standing.
It was hard for me to fidget less.
Yeah, I felt like.
But we'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll make it work. You know, this is our attempt to
Make a video.
take our knowledge, the things that we've learned from making these machines, and bring some context into what's going on in the world. So,
Yeah,
if you have a topic
sharing
that you
what
want
we
us to
know.
tackle, go ahead, reach out to us. You know, social media.
Plastic you
Filabot.com.
want recycled. We might. I mean, we could work on recycling.
We charge for that.
Yeah, I guess I should like. Before I offer anything, I should talk with the whole team. Must be a good
All right.
salesman. Anyway.
If you are not already, please subscribe, turn on notifications for this video. We do these every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Sometimes it's 3:10.
You should
11.
start tuning in at 3 o'clock, just because we might be on time one day. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Whit. Thank you, Ray.
Wow, he laid there the whole time.
And thank you, everybody watching. We'll see you next week.
Do we have our fake banter now? 30 seconds.
You have to shuffle papers like news people do.
Fake laugh.
What?
Fake laugh.
I'm gonna start real laughing now.
We could fake fight.
Spun me around. Oh, there's my phone.
Oh yeah, I moved your phone over there. What was on my mug?